Hey guys! So, I wanted to make a video that I made a post about on Tumblr a few days back, or weeks, I'm not sure. Anyway, I wanted to make it because I realized that there's a lot of people who are on my Tumblr, that are on my YouTube that aren't on my Tumblr, and a lot of people on YouTube who have viewed previous videos of mine and have been commenting stuff like this where they don't get what I mean or something. For example, on my Hinduism the Cool Religion video, which I did put on private because due to the fact that I feel like it's making people angry, not like angry as in like I don't like this, because I have gotten a lot of people who do, but you know, people just leave mean comments and I just don't really want to be spreading a angry thing, you know. If something is making people mad, that's not what I'm here for. I make these YouTube videos not to say that I'm better than anyone else or that I have more knowledge than anyone else, but also not to anger people, because I'm going through a spiritual journey just like everybody else, and you know, that's what it is. Like I'm making these so other people can relate and maybe, you know, just shed some light on somebody's situation. Sometimes people just need to hear some messages that they're not hearing at the time, and someday that they will. So, yeah, anyway, what those comments were people saying that, we can be Hindu without believing in God. There are branches of Hinduism that don't believe in God. And obviously this world today is a very atheistic world, and a lot of people have a problem with believing in God. So I wasn't shocked when I got many comments that said stuff like that. So I just want to kind of clear this up. Yes, there probably are people who follow the rules of Hinduism but don't want to believe in God. But generally speaking, most Hindus do believe in God. But back to the basic point of this is, people, if you do want to follow this path, you do need to realize without God it will not lead you to a better place. I mean, you won't go beyond the material. You know, you might reach better lives, you might reach better worlds, but the only escape is devotion through God. As it says many times in the Uddhava Gita and the Bhagavad Gita and so forth. Krishna speaks of, in the Uddhava Gita and the Bhagavad Gita, all up to the end he will speak of, and I'm speaking about the Uddhava Gita right now, he talks about how to reach sattva all throughout, and then he explains how to go beyond that. We all know that in order to go beyond the gunas, you must reach the highest guna, which is sattva, which is goodness. And so that's why when Krishna instructs us to be more peaceful and more focused on the self, he's instructing us how to be sattvic first. But how to go beyond sattva is to become devotional and to love God. For example, in the dialogue 20 of the Uddhava Gita, he talks about I'll just read it. Knowledge of the absolute is sattvic. Knowledge of duality is rajasic. The absence of knowledge is tamasic. Knowledge of me is beyond these three. The forest is sattvic. The city is rajasic. And the gambling dens are tamasic. My dwelling place in the temples is beyond these three. One who works free from attachment, call such a one a sattvika. One who works for personal gain, call such a one a rajasa. One who works without knowing right from wrong, call such one a tamasa. But one who works taking refuge in me is beyond these three. Faith in the spiritual path is sattvic. Faith in the outcome of labor is rajasic. Faith in ignorance and dullness is tamasic. Faith and devotion to me is beyond these three. Joy that springs from the self is sattvic. Joy that arises from the senses is rajasic. Joy that emanates from ignorance is tamasic. Joy from experiencing me is beyond these three. So, for all you people who for some reason think, that you don't need God in religion, or in Hinduism specifically, you're not wrong. I mean, there are people who are Hindu who don't believe in God. They want to be more into the spiritual path, more into the path that is about maybe just the knowledge and the spiritual aspect of it. But there is knowledge and wisdom and spirituality devoid of devotion. It has no power beyond the Gunas. It's still trapped in the Gunas. Like when he says faith in the spiritual path is sattvic, but faith and devotion to me is beyond the three Gunas. You can have faith in the wisdom of the Vedas, or faith in your spiritual journey and meditation and so forth. And that's still good, but that's still bound to the Gunas, bound to the laws of nature, and the only way to go beyond that is through devotion. And a lot of people have joy from the self, that is sattvic, but joy from experiencing God is beyond those three. And the beautiful thing is that we don't have to do, like, anybody, no matter where they are in their spiritual journey. Not everybody is just at like the sattvic state and just has all of the spiritual knowledge. I'm not there. A lot of people are not there. It's so great because even God's love for us is still there, and we still are able to reach out to that. Because if we have devotion to God, no matter where we are, He will guide us to get to where we're supposed to be so that we can go beyond the world. Because trying to do it on our own is just, it's really complicated, but to do it with the guidance of the one who sent it in the first place, just obviously that's gonna work. God sent us the spiritual knowledge. If you want to follow a path that doesn't believe in God, and you think that this knowledge came from nowhere, it doesn't come from a God, at least you're still following the knowledge. But it's gonna be hard for you unless you think about the one who sent it in the first place. And don't get me wrong, I am not saying that having spiritual knowledge is bad. Not at all. We have to have spiritual knowledge. Otherwise it's hard to just walk on blind faith. But having that faith that we will have the knowledge someday is really really welcoming and comforting. Because for example, I don't know all this spiritual stuff yet. I know enough, but I don't know as much as I know that I will know. I've had amazing realizations of literally about how the spiritual world is right here, and about how God is right here, and God sees with His eyes, and it's just, I had the most amazing realizations. But it's beautiful to know that there's still so much more. I'm never going to say that I know it all. Don't ever say that you think you see it all, because there's still so much more to know. And when you have God on your side, then you know that all the spiritual knowledge is going to come, because it all comes from Him. And it's like we're slowly having the veil of Maya taken away from us. Every time we ask God, can you take away this veil of Maya, He takes away a little bit more, and then you get the realization, because that little bit has been taken away from you, and you see it. And it's like, wow. It's like, because when you ask, it'll make more sense. You can read the scriptures. You can meditate on nothing, even. You can read the scriptures, but you don't have a realization of it. Like, there is I'm never gonna find it, but there is something in the Bhagavad Gita that said something along the line of, the goal is to realize, because there is a difference between understanding and realizing. Like, for example, you You can read this, but it's not going to mean anything unless you have that realization. And you're not going to just have that realization right away. Like, it might make sense. You'd be like, yeah, this is pretty cool. I feel like this makes sense to me. But I don't really feel it in me yet. And that's the difference between a spiritual path without God and a spiritual path with God. Is because you can learn the knowledge, but it's not deep. You don't understand it in the depths of who you really are. You understand it in your mind, but if you don't believe in God, then you don't think that there is anything that can really reveal it to you. You know, like, I believe that God will reveal to what I don't know to me. You know, I've read things, and I feel like I might get them, but I don't really understand it until God allows me to really understand it. And I know the difference between the two. That's why most of the time when I talk about something, I can't really say much about something that I haven't had that, like, really deep realization about. So, yeah, and this is Uddhava speaking to Krishna. He says, anyone who knows the grace that you bestow on those who come to you with devotion would turn away from the path that does not lead to you. You are the beloved, the self of the entire universe, the giver of all wishes. Who could reject the grace you bestow? Who could possibly forget you and embrace the world instead, knowing that such an embrace would end in forgetting you? There is absolutely nothing that those of us who are engaged in the service in the dust of your feet lack, need, or want. It's just really beautiful. Because they're, you know, we trust that God will lead us to where we need to be. And that's the thing, is we're not trying to say that we're better than anyone else. And we're not trying to say we have more knowledge than somebody. Because we know that this knowledge isn't our own. We don't own this knowledge. This isn't our knowledge. It's God's knowledge that He is slowly taking away the illusion that we don't already have it. We are already resting in God's resting place. We are already resting in all the knowledge. The only thing is we just don't know it yet. Just like when you wake up from a dream, you don't know your dreams. I mean, sometimes you do, but there's like, I think I heard like 90% of your dreams you don't remember or something. So it's kind of like that, like we're in a dream, or we waking up from our dream, and God is slowly revealing small parts of the reality, and we're just like, wow, you know, like, we're already in there, and we're just trusting that God will take away the illusion until someday we understand enough to go beyond through God's grace and love. And through God's grace we have the devotion and faith that we will learn. And we don't have any desire to say that we know more than anyone else. We don't have the desire to stand up and be like, I have the knowledge. I'm not saying I have the knowledge. And us who just know that this knowledge isn't ours to begin with and love the one who sent the knowledge, then we don't claim it for our own. You know, we don't make up our own rules or desire people to follow what we have to say. But yeah, and Krishna is kind. And Krishna doesn't say that people can't hear his word. There's a part in the Uddhava Gita that, I don't know. Oh jeez. I'm not gonna find it. I don't know, it was something along the lines of like, whoever wants to come, it'd say like if they're giving reading one of the scriptures, you know, if anybody wants to come, they can come and listen, no matter who they are, no matter what caste they are. He who wants to listen will be able to listen, no matter who they are. No matter who they are. And that's why we just need to have faith. Faith that we will learn what we're supposed to learn when the time is right. So yeah, be gentle, be kind, and trust. Namaste.